Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today. We're going to tackle a topic that, let's be honest, usually makes business owners and executives groan. Yep, regulatory compliance. But we are completely flipping the script today. We're going to take a dense, complex requirement and show you how it's actually a massive, undeniable business advantage. So if you've been hearing acronyms like ESG and IFRS thrown around and you're kind of wondering, how does this actually apply to my day-to-day operations, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to cut through the noise, look right at the data, and build a real strategy together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Believe it or not, ESG is now a business survival issue. That is not an exaggeration, folks. That is literally the anchor for everything we're going to look at today. The stakes in modern global trade are just incredibly high right now. And this is no longer about debating climate change or politics. It honestly doesn't matter what your personal stance is. What really matters is how your business fits into a global economy that absolutely demands transparency. I mean, if you trade, manufacture, or supply products across borders, you are part of a massive global chain. And that means, well, it means you're being evaluated right now.
Which brings us to probably the most pressing question you could ask yourself today. Will your business survive the global supply chain reset? We are literally watching macroeconomic threats disrupt supply chains all over the world. You've got tariffs, trade wars, regional conflicts. They're completely redrawing global trade maps in real time. It's a massive reset, and it's putting this incredible pressure on small and medium-sized enterprises to prove their worth in a totally new way.
But hey, don't worry, we're going to navigate this together. Here's our roadmap. 1. The global trade reset. 2. Decoding ESG reporting. 3. CSR versus ESG explained. 4. The IFRS S1 standard. And 5. Steps to master ESG. We're going to move logically right from the big macroeconomic problem straight to a highly actionable, practical solution for your business. All right, part 1. The global trade reset. Supply chains under pressure. Like we just talked about, our global supply chains are under immense, truly unprecedented pressure. Between the geopolitical friction, the tariffs, and the trade wars, the old maps are basically just being thrown out.
But you know, there's a secondary force at play here that's just as disruptive. New transparency laws and global sustainability regulations are forcing massive enterprises to audit every single link in their supply chain, so large corporations are urgently aligning with clean, compliant, and transparent partners. What does this mean for you? It means a ton of pressure is being pushed straight down the supply chain to SMEs. To keep their own licenses, funding, and public reputations intact, these giant buyers have to prove their suppliers align with responsible practices. If you can't guarantee compliance, if you can't show them the hard data they need, they are not going to wait around for you to catch up. They're just going to quietly and very swiftly replace you with a supplier who can. So, let's move to Section 2, Decoding ESG Reporting, Beyond the Buzzwords. It's time to pivot from that big macroeconomic problem to understanding exactly what these large corporations are actually demanding from their partners.
Let's break down what these 3 little letters actually measure in your business. Environmental factors, that measures your impact on nature. Think energy use, waste, resource efficiency. Then you have social factors, which assess how you treat people, your employees, your customers, and the communities you operate in. And finally, governance covers how decisions are made, stuff like your ethics, transparency, and leadership accountability. A great way to think about this is the classic 3 Ps of sustainability: planet for environmental, people for social, and profit and policy for governance. When you put all of that together, ESG basically becomes your passport to participate in the global economy of the future. Tomorrow's trade networks are absolutely not going to be built on price alone. No way. They're going to be built on verifiable proof. Showing a buyer that you have strong ESG practices proves that your business is resilient, it's responsible, and it's ready for future shocks. It is quite literally your ticket to the table.
Okay, part 3, CSR versus ESG explained, from voluntary to measurable. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it shifts us from old business models to the new global standard. See, for years, businesses operated under corporate social responsibility, or CSR. Historically, this was totally voluntary. It was your philanthropy, community projects, that we care approach that frankly makes for really great external branding. But ESG is entirely different. It is measurable. It's the we prove it approach, and it is baked right into your core operations. Modern stakeholders, whether we're talking about investors, lenders, or new supply chain partners, they demand data-backed action. They really don't want well-meaning platitudes anymore. They want hard metrics that actually prove your accountability. Which leads us nicely into Section 4, the IFRS S1 standard, the ultimate solution. If the whole world is demanding measurable data, how do we actually measure it consistently? Well, the International Sustainability Standards Board, or ISSB, totally recognized this need for global harmonization. So they created the IFRS S1 standard to be the definitive ultimate framework for reporting all this data on a global scale. Let's look at the exact definition. It is a standard requiring an entity to disclose information about sustainability-related risks and opportunities useful to investors. The absolutely critical part of this definition is why this matters to investors. These disclosures, they aren't just for show. According to the IFRS Foundation, these risks and opportunities are reasonably expected to affect a company's cash flows, its access to finance, or its cost of capital. In short, how you manage sustainability directly impacts your financial health and how the entire world values your business.
To make this standard work, IFRS S1 relies on this really brilliant rule of 4. Here are the 4 core pillars you're required to disclose. 1. Governance processes, basically how your leadership monitors these risks. 2. Strategy, your actual game plan for managing these risks and opportunities. 3. Risk management processes, how you identify and prioritize them in the first place. And 4. Performance and targets, your actual progress, including any targets set by law or regulation. By breaking a super dense regulatory topic down into these 4 logical pieces, the standard makes it entirely possible for you to easily structure your reporting.
All right, Section 5, Steps to Master ESG, Actionable Implementation. Let's move to the practical application and see how this all builds together. We know the pressure, we know the metrics, and we know the global standard.
So how does a small or a medium-sized enterprise actually achieve this compliance without, completely breaking the bank? Well, here's your streamlined 6-step plan of action. First, identify the metrics and frameworks that actually matter to your specific industry. Please don't get lost in massive corporate software that just isn't built for SMEs. Find right-sized templates. Second, collect and analyze your data across your organization. Third, prepare the report, making sure to tie those numbers to your actual corporate story. Fourth, get that data assured and verified to build some solid trust. Fifth, publish and communicate it to your stakeholders. And finally, monitor and improve. It's a continuous iterative loop. A pro tip here, start small. Maybe just grab 3 to 5 key metrics to begin with, and then scale smart as you go.
And why are you going through all this effort? Because doing this right delivers some serious ROI. You get a huge boost in investor confidence, giving you much better access to capital. You get a massive reputation boost with your supply chain partners. You'll see operational improvements simply because tracking these metrics always reveals hidden inefficiencies. You get better employee engagement because top talent wants to work for values-driven companies. And ultimately, you get overall business resilience. ESG reporting isn't just about ethics anymore. It is totally about protecting your bottom line in a very volatile world.
Which brings us to our final thought, and a question I really want to leave you with today. Are you ready to prove your value to the world? Making the transition from basic survival to an actual thriving strategy is entirely in your hands right now. Transparency is the new currency of global business, for sure, and embracing frameworks like IFRS S1 is your ultimate competitive advantage. So don't wait for your buyers to ask, show them you're already ready. I highly encourage you to explore these frameworks further and start building your passport to the future economy today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.